Hey friends, it's Steph, and today I'm going to be making a macaron Rubik's Cube. Got my ingredients laid out here. So first thing I have is, to make the macarons, sifted almond flour, icing sugar, and black cocoa powder, sugar, egg whites, and then I have a gel black food coloring, not oil-based. The plan is to make black macarons and then dunk them in different colors of white chocolate to simulate how on a Rubik's Cube it's black and then they have the stickers for the different colors, but also because I didn't want to make 6 different colors of macarons. For supplies for the macarons, I have a piping bag fitted with a small round piping tip, silicone baking mats, and cookie sheets. For the decorating part, I have white chocolate, which I'll use to coat the macarons. For colors, I'm gonna do white, red, orange, yellow, green, and blue, like a very traditional Rubik's Cube. We whipped our egg whites and our sugar together, and now I'm folding in the almond flour, icing sugar, and black cocoa very, very carefully. One of the most common issues with macarons is overmixing, but one of the other most common issues is undermixing. Some people count the number of folds they've done. I don't do that. I like to tell I'm done folding by checking how the macaron batter falls off the spatula. I'm basically looking for that batter to drizzle off the spatula in one string without breaking. Perfect. Now we're going to take a piping bag fitted with any round tip. I like to fill it using a cup because the batter's runny and it's just hard to work with. So put the piping bag into a cup and then dump the batter into it. Depending on the size of the batch you made, I like to do this in 2 portions for a regular batch of macarons. Just because if the piping bag is too full, then it's hard to handle. I'm making these pretty small because in order to make a macaron cube, you need 27 macarons. So I'm following the guidelines on this macaron mat for the smaller circle there. Piping smoothly and then doing a little flick of the wrist at the end to break off that batter string. This is one of those techniques that I haven't perfected yet, but every time I get a little bit better. Once each tray is piped, I pick them up and drop them down on the counter to pop any of the little air bubbles in each macaron. And then these are set aside to rest to form skins for about 40 minutes before baking. Then they bake at 285 for 18 minutes, and it's time to decorate. Like I mentioned earlier, to achieve that Rubik's Cube effect, I dunked half the shells into white chocolate and then various other colors of white chocolate. So I did a couple white, a couple orange, red, green, and blue. After dunking a few of the shells in the white chocolate, it was time to fill them. I just went with a super simple classic chocolate flavor. I made the black buttercream with black cocoa to help get that dark color, and used that to pipe a little dam around the outside edge of the macaron before filling each one with a little bit of chocolate ganache. Then I sandwiched them shut, and it was time to let them set a little bit before building the macaron cube. That's a key step there. You want to let the macarons chill so that the buttercream or whatever fillings you're using has time to set before you start fiddling around with them and trying to create the cube. You want to make sure you have building blocks rather than things that are just going to slide around and fall apart. Now, when it comes time to assemble the cube, you're gonna want a cake board and then some ganache, which is gonna act like the glue to hold the cube together. So I started with just a white cake board, and then I laid out the macarons with the first layer so that I could get a better feel for where they were gonna sit on the cake board before I glued them down. Once I had that first layer arranged and it fit nicely on the board, I picked up each macaron and then piped a little bit of ganache onto the bottom before sticking it back down in its place. Using ganache for this is key rather than using melted chocolate, because if you use melted chocolate when it hardens, it will be solid. And then no one's gonna be able to pull a macaron off to eat it. They'll have to either carve it away or really use their strength, and it might even break the macarons. So make sure you're using a ganache. It'll take a little bit longer to set, but it's worth it so that it's easy to eat. Once I'd done that first layer, I piped a bit of ganache in between each macaron so they could stick to each other, and then put that in the fridge so the ganache set. Starting in on the second layer, I piped a little bit of ganache onto the top of each macaron where I was going to be placing another one, and then started stacking up the second layer. I tried to make it so that there wasn't duplicate colors on each face of the cube, but then I thought also, if there is, so what? That's what happens in a real Rubik's Cube anyways. The first one in a layer is always hard, so I like to kind of grab two at once, and then they can help support each other until the ganache sets and they're actually stuck in place. Once you've got the first few on, then it becomes easier because the next ones can just lean on the ones that are already set. And there you have it. Here's the finished product. I like that it's set in the fridge for a little bit to make sure it's all structurally sound. And then I'll take it out of the fridge about an hour before I serve it because ganache and buttercream are best at room temperature. Proud of this one. I loved making this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.